so happy to see all of your lovely faces. So we have a special guest today. Her name is Erin, and she's been in YWAM for over 30 years. She worked in Hawaii, and she's been multiple places. So she's going to give you guys a little brief description of what she's been through and what YWAM is. So.
Good afternoon. My PowerPoint is throwing up a Lowe's ad, so I'm not sure if that will go away or not, but I'm not a techie person. So, my name is Erin Pennington, and I've worked with Youth in Mission since 1991. I went out to Hawaii. I can't say that I had a spiritual moment with God, but he put a good-looking South African man in front of me, and I followed, which was his way of dangling a carrot in front of me. I was one of those reluctant missionaries, but God definitely has taken me on a journey for 32 years. I don't want to give you a bunch of data, because we don't remember data. I made some presentation, just some little summaries of YWAM and our focus, and you can kind of read through that as I throw the different things up there. But we are an international, we're a global mission. We have over 20,000 staff worldwide, plus I'm sure, since the stats came out. And we've seen over 100,000 students come through our mission, and some have stayed and worked, and some have gone back in missions in their profession. When Lauren and Darlene Cunningham, the founders of our mission, it was officially started in 1970, but they were praying for that, and God was giving them vision and revelation way before those YWAM bases started. We just lost Lauren this year, but he was a good old ripe age in the 80s. I don't actually know how old he was. I think he was 88. So we lost our founder, and his wife is there, and she's a voice to be reckoned with as well. So we're grateful that we still have her. If you want to go to the next slide. Oh, this one, that's good. Yeah, so we have over 20,000 workers, and we are in over 180 nations. Some of those nations we can't tell you we're in them because we're not supposed to be in them, which is right where God wants us, right? And our focus within our missions is evangelism. It is training and mercy ministries. That's our main focus, and that is what YWAM is all about. To go out, preach the gospel, get into nations. I mean, I remember those stories. Even when I came into missions, I didn't feel like I was a real missionary, because they would come to these schools that we were running, and they would be eating just granola for food, you know. We at least had 3 normal meals a day, but they were the ones that really plowed the ground and saw this mission kind of be birthed and formed and shaped. So when I hear the stories, I'm like, oh, we had it easy. It felt hard, but it wasn't. And so we focus on training as well. That's a big emphasis for us, not just getting our students in there and giving them a bunch of data and information about the Word, but training them, how do we live life? What does this look like on a day-to-day basis? What does it look like in another nation when you're serving there? And so we're trying to equip them for the long term, and some just short term. Because we have some that come through, they do the DTS, but they know they're called to be a lawyer or a doctor, so they're not going to stay and get training from us, because we can't fully equip them to be a lawyer. We can teach them about the God of justice, but we can't give them what they need to walk that out. Again, I don't want to read all this, but this is a discipleship training school, which Gracie did in South Korea. That was a 3-month lecture phase where they come in and you can get some of the best teaching in the world. We have speakers that we have access to. He was the founder of our University of the Nations, because we have a university as well. His name is Howard Momstead. And he could have worked with NASA, he could have worked at some of the top colleges because he was so qualified, but he chose to work with YWAM. He chose to take that position that is all, we raise our own funds, and he chose to invest in our university and our mission, and he loved it. He was so passionate about it. I'd sit under him and I'd listen to him and just go, "You're amazing. You could have done anything. You could have been wealthy, but you chose our mission and our university." So he's one of the people that I really look up to. But he would come, we'd have teachers come, we'd have pastors come, we just have a wealth of people that chose not to work in what we call normal profession, but to come into missions and invest in our mission. So I feel blessed in the years that I've been there. I've had people invest in my life and in our students that it's priceless, and I feel very privileged. And then we always go on an outreach because we don't want to just give you data and tell you to figure it out. We want to give you data and information and teach you about the Word of God and what He thinks about nations. And we want to go to the nations and show you what it's like. And again, it's a taste. Those 2 or 3 months feel like really overwhelming sometimes, but it's truly a taste of what missions is. Because people that go there and they say, "Hey, I'm going," Gracie's going for a year. "I'm going for a year." It's different than that little 3-month session that she had. You're investing in a culture. It's a completely different experience. And so we want our students to be exposed to what's out there. And of course, for me, I'd never been outside the United States. I was a 21-year-old. All I could really eat was hamburgers and pizza. And now I'm in Japan eating fishy things. But you love Japan, so that's good. I didn't appreciate sushi then. So you're exposed to things, and it's so good for young people to be exposed to other cultures, other people groups. It makes you grateful for what you have, but also exposes you to the things of God we don't necessarily see in other cultures. I worked in South Africa, and I think one of the things that I walked away from, because our country is American, we're very individually minded. It's all about me, my family, and Africa is all about the community. So they're the other extreme, where you don't necessarily make a decision by yourself. You make a decision with your family or with your tribe or with whatever. So, and you don't have authority. The head of the family has authority. It's very different, and there's a God piece in that. It's not that's the way it is, but a blend of both individual and community is God's perspective. But they taught me about others, about community, to think of others, to serve others. And so these outreach experiences are just, again, a taste for those that want to be in long-term missions. So that's kind of what the DTS does. These are our values. Again, you can go on our website, you can read through, they give you details of knowing God, making Him known, hearing His voice, prayer. That's listed there and gives you even our covenants, Manila covenants and things like that, that explain who we are as a mission. But I don't want to put all that information out there to bore you. But if you're really interested, it's out there. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So as I said, we're also a university. So if you have a child that is looking at the universities now and going, I don't want to go, or you don't want to invest your money in that, we are a university as well. And these are our colleges. Again, we don't teach you to be a doctor, we don't teach you to be a lawyer, but we can give you the foundation of God. We can teach you about the God of science, the God of justice, the God of family, love, the God of communication. So these are, I have my degree with University of Nations, and I do it within Christian ministry, so I have a degree in biblical studies. I'm very passionate about the Bible and teaching it to our young people and making it come alive for them and have them go, oh, the Old Testament's really cool. Because most of us don't read it because it's kind of like, oh, he's angry. He's very judging. So I teach the Old Testament because I love it, and I'm very passionate about revealing His nature and character in the Old Testament so we can understand Him there. But back to Gracie. So this mission, so our university is, it's modular. So you come and take a course for 3 months, you focus totally on that course, and then you can either continue in, it took me, I started when I was 22 and I graduated when I was 44. So I took courses along the way that I wanted, and our provost was like, Erin, would you please finish? Please graduate. So I did at 44. And the next screen. So back to Gracie. So Gracie's going to South Africa. No, she's not. That was a surprise. We're telling you now. Gracie is going to South Korea, which I've never been to. And she needs a team. The things that I've learned being in missions for 32 years is you need a team. It can be a little daunting to go out by yourself, especially as a single young lady. I'm still single for 32 years. And it's a challenge, and you like knowing that you have people back home that are carrying you, not only just by extending relationship for her, but for prayer and also financial support. So going into parts of Asia, Africa, you're dealing with, I don't know if you guys believe in spiritual warfare. Hope you do. It's very real. And in these countries like South Africa, for me, that's my reference point because I haven't been to South Korea. But there's a spiritual world we're contending with. And it's very real, and you feel it. And when you feel like you're just, and especially if she's going to a country, she doesn't speak the language. They know some English, but she has maybe one other American or a few other that she's going to relate to. And that relationship back home of people just kind of reaching out and going, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope things are going well. Let's chat. Let's let her process, you know. So reaching out and just having conversation with her is going to be vital for her. But also the prayer team around you, that she has people back here that are praying for her, first of all, for her safety. Second of all, for her leadership in our mission. She's going to be a leader in our mission and influencing and discipling young people from Korea that need to know the God of love, the God of grace, the God of justice, of peace. And they, as a culture, have a lot of different issues that she's even not familiar with, but she's going to learn it along the way. And just knowing you have a prayer team back there that is checking and going, how can we pray for you this month? What's going on? Or she might have a student she's working with that she needs to see a breakthrough for. There's just something stuck, and she can reach out and go, hey guys, will you pray for so-and-so? Can't give you details because it's all confidential, right? Those one-on-ones. But can you pray? Can you team up with me? And let's see some breakthrough for this student, or for even some of the staff there that are working and serving in the mission. So a lot of people, they think support for missions is just finances. It's not. That's a very important part because we have to live out there. But the prayer team and the relational support are going to be what keeps her going the most. Financially, she's going to need people that give to her. So, like I said, Lauren and Darlene, they raised their own finances to be in missions. They created YWAM as a place where they understood from the Old Testament, when God put the Levitical priesthood in place, they got their living from the tithes and offerings of the community. And that's how he provided for them. And that's where Gracie is fitting in. Can you go to the next slide for me? This is what we call the sphere of influence. And these are the different kind of areas of society. And most people work in different areas. Some people work in education, some people work in family. But the church is that Levitical priesthood. It's a Levitical tribe where your pastor, your local pastor, and missionaries work, and they receive their finances through tithes and offerings. That doesn't mean the rest of you aren't missionaries. You're just working in one of these other different fields, and God's called you to that, and you get to earn money doing that. Okay, so it's a partnership in a sense. So she fits within that church or ecclesiastical structure where tithes and offerings are essential. So she needs a team of people that can help her kind of navigate this next year, that can donate either monthly or give those one-time gifts that are helpful in the process. But we don't want you just to see that and go, oh, you're just a money person. Because I had a friend that came to me one time, he was a giver for me, he was in England. Because I just feel like the church looks to me as a money figure, because I make good money, I'm an IT guy. I don't like it. I said, well, you shouldn't like it, because you have way more to offer than that. What you bring to the church, that's an offering, it's a gift, it's a wonderful thing. But we want your relationship to that church, your relationship to that pastor and people is far more significant than anything you can ever do financially. And I know Gracie will make you feel that way. She needs that team. She needs that support as she heads out. So I want to encourage you to pray. Don't just give to give. Give because God's telling you to give. And don't think that anything is too small. I had people that were just like, I can't just give you $20 a month. I was like, why not? That helps me, you know? And my best givers were these lovely older ladies that would give me $25 a month, and they were faithful for so many years. I hated giving them up, but I did because I wasn't doing it anymore. But they were the faithful ones. The ones that wanted to give huge amounts, they can't sustain it because the economy changes all the time, as we know. We're not in a great economy, but God's not worried about an economy. But I would love to challenge you all to pray and consider and ask God if you're supposed to be a financial giver as well as a support and a prayer team for Gracie. So YWAM is a wonderful organization with its faults. We're not perfect by any sense of the imagination, but we love God, we love young people, we love just seeing God move in their lives, and we need to see more of a revival everywhere for every person. And that Gracie has a call in her life to South Korea is a gift. When I did my DTS, I didn't want to leave the United States. So when I meet someone that goes, I did my DTS in South Korea, I was like, you're a real missionary. God had to get me slowly to go into some of these foreign countries where I was scared to death. So people that go into the tougher places with their DTS and stuff, I'm like, okay, those are the people you really want to look to because they have a call. Not that she's going to stay there necessarily, God might call her out, but this year, that focus there is a gift for even our mission, for her to be there and to serve these people. So I'm not going to yak at you anymore. I'm going to let her continue and share. But if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yeah?
Just to tell you guys a little bit about myself before I go explaining anymore. My name is Gracie Goodenough, and I wanted to share my testimony before we get started. So here's the story of how I got here today. First off, I was born into a Christian household. All of my family members have heard about Jesus, and pretty much all of them have accepted him into their hearts. So growing up, I was taught who he was and everything he has done for me. When I was little, I followed what my family said about him and believed it. But as I grew older and life got harder, I questioned if he was real at all. My mom opened a store when I was about 7 years old, and so I took on the role as a sales clerk at a very young age. When I got a little older, I was taught how to run the cash register and count back change. Now you may be asking, didn't you go to school? And the answer is no. I hated school and gave my parents a really hard time when they tried putting me in. So they taught me real life lessons instead, like running the register. Growing up in the store environment wasn't easy because I didn't go to school and I could only choose to stay home or help my mom at the store. But when I was about 14, my mom gave her store to my sister, and I got to help them in their new pursuit, which they're still doing, which is estate sales. So now I help them dig through people's houses, whether they want to move or are needing funds for a funeral. We set it up, price it, and sell it. This proved very difficult while I was a teenager, not to mention all the problems I had going on at home. I got my first phone at 15, and the influence it had was unmatched. I was falling down a rabbit hole. I, like most teenagers, didn't like my parents' authority over me at the time and went against most things they said. Things about God, too. I didn't really ever think about him at all. When I went to youth group and stuff, I went to youth group, but I didn't pay attention to the teachings. The phone was enough for me to almost throw my faith away altogether. But God had a plan for me all along. I finally got a job at Dutch Bros when I was 17 and started saving to go to Amsterdam, which was through YWAM. And I saw this as my opportunity to escape from day-to-day life and live for something better. So I saved all my tips that I got for 2 years. Then I got a job at Sister's Bakery, which paid better and gave me more tips. I was so excited to be able to get more money to put towards my dream. The ultimate goal was to go to DTS, Discipleship Training School, in Amsterdam. As I was saving, I started getting closer to God because I knew that it was a Christian school. It's crazy because thinking back, it made me happier without even realizing it. About the time that I got this job, I decided to move in with my sister, The next couple of months resulted in eating a lot of donuts. Coming home, putting my tips in my dream jar, going to sleep, waking up, and then going back to work. I had my goal set though. I didn't know when, but I knew I was going to go to Amsterdam. Then one day I was scrolling on the YWAM website and ran across a DTS in South Korea. At the time, I had heard of K-pop and K-dramas, so it wasn't unfamiliar, but I hadn't thought about going there at all. Looking closer, it seemed like a really sweet place to go. So I drove to my parents' house and had them look at it, and they said it doesn't hurt to try to sign up. And from there, it was as smooth as butter to get in. I was on my way to a different life altogether. And that is what you guys will learn about today. So, welcome to South Korea, which is 안녕하세요, is how they say hello. So, yeah, I went during COVID time. So, when I arrived at the airport, there were people behind a huge screen, and they just had their hands out. And I had to walk up there, and they had to like shove the COVID test in my nose, and I was like, oh. It wasn't very comfortable at all. And I was like in a new, country, so that wasn't very welcoming, but it was okay. So then I drove to my YWAM base, which is in Kaldok, and this is what it looks like. It's very beautiful and peaceful there, and you could just feel the Holy Spirit just driving there. It was insane. And then for the team, so staff are those who have previously done DTS and that are there to help the students that come, and the other staff members just to enjoy and worship and learn who God is and their calling for their lives. And then the students are those who have felt called to the nations and decided to go to DTS for 6 months. So this is my team from your guys' left to right. It's Sung-hee, Yena, who is our outreach leader, me, Judith, she's from Sweden, Jong, she's from Korea, and Hannah, she's from America, and then Michelle, she's also from America. So that was my DTS team, all of the students. And these were my roommates. I was roomed with Sung-hee and Hannah, and Sung-hee was like my mom while I was there. She took care of me. She fed me breakfast, and there's this game called Gongi. So you have these pieces of, I don't know what they are, but anyways, you just throw them on the ground, and then you pick one up, throw it in the air, catch the one underneath, and then try to catch that one too. And then you just keep doing it until you get them all, and it's really hard. So one time we were doing it, and Sung-hee was just like laughing at us because she's amazing at it. And I had water right next to me, and so I threw one in the air, and it landed straight into the water. And she was just, it was so funny for her. So. And then these are all of the staff and students at the base. So Iru is on the very end over there. He's our base leader. And also Myung-soo, who's down there. And then there's Hyoju and Autumn and Mi-kyung. And then they're just so cute, aren't they? I love them. So then we started DTS. So DTS, as you've heard a little bit from Erin, is 3 months of lectures and then 3 months of outreach. So for the first 3 months, we had different people come every week to teach us about different topics. So this teacher taught us like the Father's Love Week. And so we learned, about the Father's love and how he cares for us and stuff like that. So this one is Worship Week, which was personally my favorite because it pushed me the most. Because at the end of the week, he had us do our own worship song in front of everyone. So I was like so nervous because I don't really like being in front of people. So I stayed up so late trying to think, what song should I do? What song should I do? And I could not think of one. So in the morning, I woke up super early and I was like, I can't think of a song. God, please help me. And I just heard, I Can Only Imagine. So I was like, okay, this is the perfect song, and it's perfect for how I felt at the time. So I was able to perform it while shaking, but I got it done, and I think it pushed me a lot, so that was my favorite week. And then Holy Spirit week. These are some of my favorites. Unha was our teacher, and David Park, and then their 2 sons. And David Park did prophecy prayers over us while we were there. So that was really cool to experience because I've never experienced anything like that before. So it was a lot of fun. So after the 3 months of lectures, we started preparing for outreach. So we were able to do a fan dance and skit, and I think we did like 3 different dances. So it was like a lot of fun. And then our skit was really fun too, because the chair had "do not sit here" like on it. And so Judith would come out and she would throw it, but on the other side it said "sin." So she would throw it and then she would sit down and then she would be like, okay, it's time to get up, but she was stuck to the chair. So then all of us would come out one by one and be like, oh my gosh, she's stuck to the chair. Try to help her, but then we would get stuck. So all of us got stuck, and then Michelle would come out and she would have the Bible, and then instead of coming to us and getting stuck, she prayed for us to be set free. So one by one, we were able to be unstuck from the chair. So it was a lot of fun to practice those things. So for outreach, our first location was Fukuoka, Japan. It was very beautiful there, and how you say hello there is konnichiwa. So then, this is some of Fukuoka. It's very beautiful there. So during our time there, we were able to help with Peter O and Jenny O. They were our hosts, and they were doing an English Bible winter school for all of the Japanese kids. So we did arts and crafts, and they really loved it. They had a lot of fun. They would just, color and do all that. And then we had games. Joan was in charge of the games, and she had a lot of fun. I wasn't really able to see what games they played because they were in a different room. We did it kind of like, I don't know if any of you have heard of VBS. It's kind of like that, so we would transition them because they were in groups. And then we did Bible time, where we would have them come and sit and listen. They wanted them to hear it in English so that they could learn a little bit of English. And so we taught them about the Bible and stuff, and then we would have them go downstairs and tell us what they learned and stuff like that. And then we danced with them. That was a lot of fun. We did our, this little item and stuff like that, and they really loved it. And as you can see, it was during COVID, so I wasn't able to see their beautiful faces that much. But yeah, we're super cute. We also helped around the house, our hosts. So we cleaned his yard and did yard work. And then in the next slide, you'll see all of the bags of leaves and stuff that we got from the yard and cleaned it. And then we did our skit there. So that was a lot of fun. And then we were invited with Yeki, who's a performing arts people for YWAM. They were putting on a performance in Japan. So our DTS team was invited to also attend. So they had sent over 1,000 flyers to us. And we had to lay them out like this and stamp them and then wait for them to dry and blow on them and stuff. And then we would take them downstairs and fold them all. And then we would go out and deliver them. So we would deliver them to people in their households, and like we would put them in people's mailboxes, which is different than here in America because that's illegal. So it's interesting. And then in the next one, you'll see we stood out in front of schools and waited for the kids to come out, and we would hand them the flyer, and we would be like, "Oh, konnichiwa, okasa ni misete ne," which means show this to your mom. So it was funny to see all of their cute little faces, and some of them were just staring at us because we're foreigners. So they were like, why is this random foreigner giving me something? Like, I don't understand. But they were so cute. So then it became our performance time, and they forced me to wear this and stand and greet people who were coming in. And we practiced our fan dance, and we were ready to perform it on stage. So here's me and the other greeters greeting people. And then here's us praying before the performance. And then here's Yeki performing on stage. They were amazing. I wish I could go back in time and watch it again. They were so cute. And then Jung and Sung-hee and Hyoju all were invited to sing a Korean song on stage. So this is them doing that. And then here's us doing our fan dance. It was very nerve-wracking walking up on stage because I was like one of the ones in front. So I would just look at all of the people and be like, okay, I can do this. And then just go for it, right? So that was it in Japan, our Japan wrap-up. And then the next country was India. So here's us sleeping in the airports. Love that. I don't want to do that again. I'm so glad I'm not here anymore. The chairs were so far apart, and we had to like lay on it. It was so uncomfortable. But yeah, when we woke up and flew again, we were able to arrive at our destination, and that's when I was like, wow, I really am a missionary. So this place is called Manipur, and that's our house that we stayed at. Our host built it himself, and then those were our welcome foods from him. And here's some of the landscape from there. It was very hot, but very beautiful. Cows everywhere. So we did our children's ministry, as you can see. And so we did like little skits. So each of us had our group of kids, and I did Noah and the Ark. So my little kid would be like, okay, the little bird's flying, and then it comes back and it's like, there's land. And then they all like went like, woo, to hit the land. So it was really fun and cute. Here's some more pictures, and we danced and stuff. And Michelle holding. This is one of the little kids that we lived with in our house. Her name was Mary. And then here's me praying with the kids that I did the skit with. And here's all of the kids. And one story that I want to share is a little girl that was part of the kids' ministry came to where we were staying in our little shack. And she kept being like, ow, like her ear hurts. So I was like, come here. And I lifted her ear, and it literally looked like a blueberry was on the back of her ear. It was that bad infected. And her ears were pierced with thread. So I called Sung-hee out, and I was like, Sung-hee, look at this. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, that's insane. So she went back inside and got some stuff to help it, and we like pushed it, and some blood, came out, and she was like, but she was so brave and like didn't cry or anything, and we were able to push like most of the blood that was in there out and put some disinfectant stuff on it. And I was like, she needs better earrings. So I have a lot of ear piercings. So I was like, I had some silver earrings in my ear, and I was like, gave them to her, and I was like, you need these. So I put one in the other ear, and I gave her the other one to put in her ear when it feels better. And when she went away, some of the other kids were jealous, so they tried like bullying her and like taking it out. And I had to be so strict with them, like, no, those are her earrings, don't do that. Like, and they were like, okay. I don't get strict much, but I was strict with them. And then one day we were going up to kids ministry, and we had to walk up this like dirt hill, and I tripped and hurt my knee. And so the next day we saw that there were stairs built there, and we were like, wow, someone built stairs. And so a couple days later we were sitting around at the campfire, and some people from the community would come and sit, and the little girl that I gave the earrings to, Mom, sat at the fire and was like, oh, my little girl saw that you fell, and so she built you those stairs. And I was like, oh, so touched. So it's crazy, like, you can change their world. So here's us washing our clothes. They collected rainwater in the big green jug, and so we would have to get it out of there because there was no running water and pour it into that. And if we wanted hot water, we would have to boil it over the fire and wait like 15 minutes or whatever it took. And then that's our shower area on the very end. And so we would just have to take the water out and pour it on ourselves. And here's Judith washing her clothes. And then behind me is the bathroom, that little hut. And there was no toilet in there, just a hole. So you would have to squat, and there was no toilet paper. So, hard times that I don't want to talk about. So here's us. We went to this neighboring school and prayed over all of the staff and students that went there. And then in the next one, you'll see, here's all of us with their sign. And then also we went to people's houses during the night after ministry and prayed for them there. You'll see in the next one. So we would just, it's funny because there, you just walk into people's houses. Like, you don't have to knock or like ring the doorbell or anything. You're just like, hi, I'm here. You sit on their couch, and then they're like, oh, you're here. From the other room. And then they go and get you chai, and you're like, thank you. So after that, we went to our second location in India, which was Imphal. And we were able to go to the church there and share our testimonies and sing songs. And they gave us these beautiful scarves that you can see around our necks to honor us and say thank you for coming and blessing us. The roads there are insane. I thought I was gonna die so many times because we would drive in these little, like, tiny car things. And the roads looked like that. Like, there was no structure at all. People just go wherever they want, right? So that was scary. So we finally went to this hill where you can walk up and see all of Imphal. And there we prayed for people. But for me, like Aaron said about spiritual warfare, this is where I felt it the most because we were praying for all of Imphal that we could see. And we were holding hands in a circle, and I just felt this, I can't even explain it. It just was like, I'm going to like faint or die. I don't even know. I was just holding myself together, and I think my body was actually going like this because it was bad. But I just took deep breaths, and I was like, it's okay. And afterwards, I just sat there and was just, it's okay. So then we went to this other church, and we were able to share our testimonies there and love them and all the cute stuff, and they did a dance for us. So on the next slide. Yeah, so during our time in India, they danced that exact dance for us. And since our time in India in our second location, it was kind of boring. We weren't able to go very many places because they had huge guns on them and stuff. And as women, since our whole DTS team were girls, our outreach leader was very protective of us. So when we went to that church and they danced that dance, I learned it on top because I was so bored. So then we also went to some homes there and prayed for them and blessed their homes as well. And that was it in India. So then we went back to South Korea and we were able to go to Seoul. Here's Judith kissing the ground because she was so thankful to be in civilization. So we were able to help with Joyful Camp there, which is a place for the next generation to come and be lifted up and motivated to make a difference in their circles of influence. So we had fellowship time, and we played games, and we did our singing and dancing there in worship, and then we also shared our motivational stories from our outreach. And after that, we went to our next location in Korea, and we went to Itaewon. I don't know if anyone knows what happened there, but there was a crowd crush on Halloween 2022, where a huge crowd came and killed 159 people, injuring 196. So a disaster like this hadn't been seen in Korea since 2014, when a ferry went down, killing 304 passengers. So all of the post-its that are up are those who feel a sense of mourning for the tragedy that happened there. All the killings that happened were in that area, so when we walked in there, it was definitely heart-wrenching to read all of the post-its and stuff. But then we were able to go to Korea Gathering, which is where people from all over the world come and share and unite in love and worship for a couple of days. So it was a huge event, and so many people were there, and we were able to meet and dance and have a lot of fun there. And here's some more of it. You could see how the sea of people that were there just worshiping. So the Spirit of God was definitely alive, and we were praying over North Korea as well and crying about it. Yeah, so at Korea Gathering, one of the guys did the drum just like that, and it really spoke to my heart, and so I wanted you guys to have a little bit of what it was like. So after that, we went to the DMZ, which is the border between South and North Korea. So there, at this place, we were able to look through a telescope, and we could actually see some North Korean people, far away, just moving around. And it was just so eye-opening to be able to see how close they are. You can see the little yellow line that's splitting them. So they speak the same language, they share the same currency, and so it's just heartbreaking that they are split. And South Korean people, the ones that I knew, are praying so hard for their unification and for God to be glorified in their reunion someday, hopefully. So after that, we went to this little church called Cafe Every Day. And up here it says Church Every Day. It's our teacher, Im Sok-taek, who was our Father's Love Week teacher. He started this church, so he called us there to share our testimonies and just give our hearts towards the church. So if you go to the next slide, this is the church he had just started, and a story from there is my mom gave me a ring before I left to DTS, and it said, I think, love, peace, joy, like kindness on it. And I didn't really like Imsoltech. I don't know why specifically, but I don't know. And so while we were sitting there and he was playing his guitar and worshiping for us, I just felt the Holy Spirit be like, give him that ring that I was wearing. So I was like, oh, I don't like this guy. Why? But okay. So I took it off and gave it to him, and he was like, usually you take your ring off when you want to get married. And I was like, and he was like, I think this is you getting married to the Korean church and to God. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And he was like, I love it and I'll cherish it forever. I'm gonna stick it on some string and hang it in the window at the church so everyone can see it. And after that, I was walking down from giving my testimony, and this girl and her husband, I was talking to them, and we were just talking about their dog and like how they are and stuff. And at the end, she didn't see me give the ring to him, and she was like, I want you to have this ring, the one that I'm wearing. And so she took it off her finger and gave it to me. And I was like, oh, thank you. So give a ring, take a ring situation. But I feel like it's a promise from God to be like, you'll go back. And so then we returned to our base and had our debrief. There's Edu, not knowing that he's in my photo. And here's us graduation. This is our graduation day. So everyone came, and Joan had already left to school, so she had to be over Zoom. But yeah, we were all celebrating and had cake, and I did that same dance, the India dance there, and it was just a lot of fun being able to graduate. So now I am planning to go back as staff, and it was a lot of fun being in DTS, so I know staff, I'm even gonna open my eyes more and experience different things, and I think it'll cause me to be able to grow a lot. And we already are planning to go to the Philippines and Malaysia, so can't wait to see what goes on in those countries. But yeah, here's some of the pictures that you guys didn't see yet. And then at the next slide, if you guys want to make a contribution or be a monthly sponsor or prayer partners, like Erin was saying, I do have a website, so it's the Gracie for Missions Go.de sites. And I also have Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So on YouTube, I'll be posting lots of videos about just fun things that I experience. So yeah, you guys could come talk to me personally after too about it to get more information on that and how you can support my dream to go out and disciple the nations. I'm very excited. So thank you all for listening and supporting. I appreciate all of you guys.